Hi there, I'm John from CNCKing.com, and today I'll give you a little story about how a solution with my CNC router, flattening live edge wood, actually ended up solving a problem I was having filming fiber laser etching with my CNC laser. What you see behind me here is my ShopBot PRS Alpha. It's a wonderful machine, and I use it to do a lot of projects here in the shop. One of them is flattening live edge. Now I also do a lot of live edge work, and what that involves with the CNC router specifically is you end up with a board that's really rough like this, and it's not flat, and it's warped. The easiest way to solve that problem is to use the CNC router to flatten the whole thing out, and it does a wonderful job of that. Now with the CNC router, because it's pushing and pulling through material, you have to hold it down. I have a vacuum system on this ShopBot. The problem is it doesn't really work very well if you don't have something that's flat. So that means whether I use the vacuum system or not, on live edge, it just doesn't work properly. So my solution to that, for the past, I don't know, I'd say almost 6 months, I made these little jigs here, and they work really, really well at holding it in place. And it's just a piece of plywood, scrap plywood, you have a washer, and you have, I use drywall screws. Now I know this is screwing up my vacuum table, but so be it. What this does here is I screw it in 2 spots around the edge here, and it stops the board from moving left, right, up, or down. Because when I'm flattening, what I'm really doing is not drilling into the material. I'm moving maybe 1/16 to maybe 1/8 of material at a pass, and I'm going just left and right, pushing and pulling through the material. So this was working great up until I had this project here to do. And the problem with that is that it's already, I'd say, roughly 1 inch thick. Most of the live edge I do here in the shop is actually 2 to 3 to 4 inches thick, and this one is just relatively thin. It just happens to be that way. So this here, if you look at it, it's almost 1 inch thick already. It's 3/4 of an inch. And you have 3/4 of an inch with 1 inch of material, you still have a lot of play, and you can still have the router go over the material and never touch the screws. The problem is when you start flattening this, you lose your 1 inch pretty quickly, and you get really close to this. The bit that I use for my ShopBot is a surfacing bit, and what that does, it just goes across here and it removes the material, and that's fine. Wood, no problem at all. Metal is a problem, because if I hit that, if I have the bit hitting the metal screw, it's instant shrapnel here in the shop. So in this case here, I was flattening a board, and I had about 1 millimeter of play left horizontally before I was going to start creating some shrapnel in the shop, which is not a good thing. So I started thinking, well, there must be a better way. And immediately I thought, well, let's just make this washer and this screw actually go into the material. So basically I went from this here, which is pretty safe for almost every application except this one here by happenstance, to something like this here. Now you'll notice that I still have the washer in, and that is very important, because if you just have screws going into wood, they eventually work themselves out, and you can't use a lot of torque pushing it down. Well, if you have a screw, that screw would never go through that washer. The head is just too big. If you look here, you can see actually how deep I've gone. I've gone roughly 1/4 inch or 6 millimeters. And that gives me a ton of clearance. And the advantage to doing that is that now when I use my CNC router for flattening, if I have something that's going to end up being, 3/4 of an inch, which that plywood is as well, at least I have a warning, because the bit will actually go through this material first before it even touches a screw. And I also made an improvement where you notice here the screw holes are in the center. Here I put them a bit towards one side. So that means when I'm surfacing, here you can see the bit would go over it and still never even get close to the screws. So this method here is a lot safer than what I had before. When I first started CNCRI.com, I wanted to make sure I had a lot of woodworking tools and metalworking tools in addition to the CNC equipment that I have in the shop. And the advantage of having all of those things together is that I can make something optimally perfect for it. Now technically I could have easily made this here using our CNC router, and I've done that in the past using Corian and other materials. But the programming and the setup for that is exponentially longer than it is just to get out the table saw, cut it out, use a Forstner bit, make a hole, and something that's perfect for the screw. The other thing that's nice about this setup is that you notice that the washer is exactly the same size as the hole. So actually it helps support it, because if I got a lot pushing this way or that way, it's the whole assembly of the washer pushing and pulling into the material instead of just a screw. And now we're to the laser. For the laser, ironically, I've been using these pieces of chipboard to hold some items in place. Unlike the router where you have pushing and pulling, with the laser, whenever I film stuff, I want to make sure I have it in the clear window that you see here. So here's the window I have to play with when it comes to filming. And if I have something too much on the edges, the problem is I can't film it because there's the black covering over it that's supporting the glass and the whole laser. So by having these kind of things here, for the past 4 years, I've been actually able to film stuff using the laser, because I've been using these things to sort of mark it off until I got the right placement, and they had to be totally square. So as soon as I made this, I thought, okay, well, this actually works really well for the laser. But before I get to that, if you notice, I actually have my website on here and my branding. An issue that you always have with YouTube and other websites, whenever you take pictures or photos of anything or film, people always steal and grab stuff from you. Now that's fine, as long as they have my branding on it, I don't care. Now the nice thing about YouTube is I can go back into my system and I can see who's been grabbing my videos and sharing with others, which is fine. And they can do that all they want because they're still promoting my business. So the first thing I thought about was, okay, well, this solves a nice problem that I was having, because now everything that I do with the router or the laser will be branded. But what I didn't realize is that it actually helps a lot with focusing as well for close-up shots when I do projects. custom metal work, I always try to think of a solution to solve a problem while I'm doing projects. And one of them, I've tried many through the years, is this here. This is 316 stainless steel, and it's fiber laser etch. So this is not paint. This will not come off. And I've been using it for quite a few videos, but the problem I've been seeing is that because it's metal, there's still some reflection, as you can see. And when I'm filming or doing photographs, the camera really has a lot of trouble focusing properly on what I want it to focus on. It just sort of goes out of blur, or goes in and out of focus. And I'm also the inventor of the Dreyse BMT, as you can see here. And these we fiber laser etch all the time. We also do a lot of anodized aluminum and stainless steel and other kind of projects like that. Now, the ongoing issue again is the filming. So I thought, well, I got a production run of these guys to go and custom brand anyways using our fiber laser. So let's just do that, and let's just do it at a couple different angles and see what the results are like. As you see, I tried a whole bunch of different angles, and every one of them came out absolutely perfect. I was actually quite astonished because I had a problem with my router and ended up solving a problem that I was having with my fiber laser. Not the laser itself, it was the filming aspect of it. And here's the finished result here. And you can see right away that there's some shine to it, and that was the problem I was having with fiber laser filming and photographing, I guess, different projects. So if you're looking for custom CNC production, woodworking, metalworking, contact me at CNCRI.com.